Hello, everyone. So, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to hunt down a lot of rumors people have been saying in the comments about things that are going to be in that game. Like, I want these things to be real, but I would like to see, like, real evidence on this. So, the first thing I found was this YouTube video where the devs talk design, weapons, and Tyranids. So, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to, like, skip through it all and then give you a basis on what I've found, or not basis, but like a description of what I've found. And if you want, I will link it in the description so you can watch it yourself. Yeah. All right. So I found something that I want everyone to hear. So, anyways,
It's like, okay, we have pretty much everything to go, and but we have to limit ourselves. But the cool thing is, I mean, since this is as Vermintide has been a game that we will keep working on for, I don't know, as long as the players keep playing. So even the weapons that we can't do now, we will do later. And
so I wanted everyone to see that because there was a comment I got where someone was talking about how they hope to finish that the developers Vermintide 2 are gonna somewhat finish their game because every character in that game except for Cena, who is the Fire Witch, has a new class right now. Everyone has a fourth class except her, and we haven't heard any news on it so far, or at least haven't found any. So who knows? Maybe they'll talk about it later. But this is a darktide video, so I doubt they're going to talk about it in this video. So, anyways, I want everyone to see that the developers are still working on that game, unless it dies, I guess, because that's what it sounds like. They want, if people are still playing it, they're still going to work on it. If people just drop the game 100% for darktide, then maybe we're not going to see a fourth class for Cena. I don't know. You know, it makes sense. You don't want to like spend money to like make a game better knowing no one's going to play it, right? You know, that's not an investment. That's a wise that would be a wise idea, right? It wouldn't be a very good idea. So, I want everyone to see that they're still thinking about Vermintide, which is good because I was a little bit worried. We didn't see any content for Vermintide 2 when it comes to Cena and the new class, so and they're talking about weapons, so it's confirmed they're having more weapons, and while they're working on this game, and in the future they will possibly add more weapons to it.
and there were also like the obvious ones that we knew from the start we had to do, like chain swords. You can't do a 40k game without chain swords, so that was the first sort of melee weapon that we started working on. And in Vermintide, the two-handed hammer was our first weapon that we sort of, when we had nailed that one, we knew, okay, we got the melee combat where we wanted. This time around, it was the chain sword. We knew you have to figure out some way of incorporating chainsawing in person, like what I don't know what the verb is, but still, a person in first person. How do you do that? And it's so satisfying how it turned out. So all weapons have a weapon special. We had that on some weapons in Vermintide, but now every weapon has it. And on the chainsword, you rev it up, and the next person you hit, it will stick to, and you will saw through them. And it is like the most satisfying thing in any game ever. So yeah.
It's horrible. I mean, chainsawing as a verb, satisfying, sawing people in half. Like that's our day to day now.
Well, you know.
And these are guardsmen. Astra Militarum is the new name for them. Astra Militarum. These guardsmen, like they have a huge arsenal, but sometimes they're not allowed to access the Space Marine arsenal. So, I mean, you guys have. I'm gonna do some rapid fire questions, okay? Plasma pistol,
No.
heavy bolter,
Yes.
lace cannon,
Yes.
regular
No,
bolter,
not cannon, but gun. Last gun.
regular bolter,
No.
power fist.
The version.
They're not allowed to have power fists too. That's the thing. That's a Space Marine thing.
It's a different thing for the organ. But yeah.
Storm shields,
And yes, we do. Yes. I think so. I think so. Yes.
Terminator armor,
No.
Space Marine armor,
No.
heavy Gatling,
No.
anything from Adeptus Mechanicus.
Do we?
You have to play to find out.
No. Yeah. Exactly.
We'll have to play to find out.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. No.
All right, so I found another one, and this one talks more about the factions we'll be dealing with in the game.
Review.
Yes.
So let's talk about the enemies you'll fight in this game. What will we be dismembering and shooting and blowing the heads off of? A lot of poxwalkers I saw.
Yeah. Poxwalkers and I guess I mean it's enemies of the Empire or the Imperium is it's a good general term. I mean, it's chaos aligned, definitely.
Nurgle aligned.
Nurgle aligned, yeah, sure. And I guess we have not a split between different factions, but at least we have like the Trader Guards is one example. So it's regiment called the Mobian Sixth that has like gone away to the wars. They come back, and now they are heretics or traitors. So we have those as one, like, I guess not enemy type. What would you call it? It's like
Enemy variety.
a faction. Yeah. As well as the Poxwalkers and the special enemies.
And we also have some other factions, but we don't talk about them today.
And if you can't say, it's fine. Chaos Space Marines.
No, I think we can say, and the answer is actually no. There are actually no Space Marines in this game.
I mean,
And that was a choice we did early on. We want to focus on the more human side, or like a more like day-to-day person, and how would it be to be stuck in a hive city full of poxwalkers, trader guard, and you have to fight to survive as a normal human being instead of being this mega godlike space marine.
Right.
Yeah,
That's the whole humanized aspect. So this is an elite squad of Imperial Guard, but they're still guardsmen. You know, they're not Space Marines. They're not Terminators. You know what I mean? They go in. They're vulnerable.
Well, you actually don't actually play as a guardsman. You get to pick from a number of 4 classes. You can go as an Ogren, a Zealot, or a Veteran, and also a Psyker. And the cool thing in Darktide, that is different than Vermintide, is that you actually get to customize your own character. So there's a character customization. So it can be, I want to play a veteran, and I want to be a female veteran. There's options for you there. So and another really cool thing is that part of the character customization is also a choice in your personality. So we want to keep our famous banter that we had in Vermintide between the characters, but we also wanted to add character customization. So the last step of your character customization is to pick a personality, and there's a number of personalities dependent on which class you pick, if you pick the male or female version, and that just gives a gigantic number of different voice actors and lines, and everything is unique to your choice. So that's really cool.
We hope that people will be, or our players will be able to play as the hero, anti-hero, I guess, that they want.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, the Imperium is an anti-hero, really. It's convert or die. Everyone's anything that's a xenomorph is a heretic.
exactly. It's
All right, so now I found some content based on Tyranids.
Control alignment and the kind of the traders. That must have been fun figuring out the enemies in general. Like any down this, there's a plethora of enemies in the Space Marines, and everything that's a Xeno is a enemy to the Space Marines. Did you guys discuss Tyranids at any points? Anything like that in the early development stage?
Obviously it's like, it would be the obvious choice. It's sort of a very sort of easy, what's the word?
Like Alien, like down the thing, things stalking you, Gene Stealers, yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty close to like Skaven in a way, and like there's so many of them, and they're like hive-like or like a horde-like type of enemy. But we actually wanted to go with something different, so we went with. I think that was one of our first choices. Like we let's do Poxwalkers as our sort of horde enemy, and from there we then added to Nurgle, and that's the obvious sort of addition. And then we went to the Traitor Guard as sort of the second choice.
and obviously Tyranids have been covered before, and Gene Stealers as well. So it's like we wanted just to bring something fresh.
I almost thought it was Gene Stealer cultist, like when I first saw him, because everything was kind of shrouded in darkness. I'm like, oh my god, are they doing the Gene Stealer cult thing? But like, you went Poxwalkers, and that's still good. Still great enemies to kill. Very gratifying to kill. Very messy.
And who knows what happens in the future?
Yeah, that's the cool thing with a game like this, is that we can keep adding to it, and that's a philosophy that we've been using throughout the whole production. Because Vermintide sort of ended up being a game that we supported for a very long time, but we didn't really think about it when we created the game. We just created a cool game, and then people like it. We have to make more of this cool game. But this time around, we knew from the start that we will be supporting this game for a very long time. So everything has been built with that in mind. So it goes to how we designed the VO system, to how we created the missions and the levels, to how we create enemies and how we create weapons and everything. So everything has sort of the mindset of how can we build upon this in the future. So that's going to.
All right, so they start talking about now about level design and how many levels are going to be in the game.
This thing, and then they're screwed.
How many different levels will we see? And they're handcrafted, right? They're not procedurally generated.
Yeah. So it's basically the same as in Vermintide 2. Like we're aiming for the same amount, so you could expect something similar.
All right, so I found another YouTuber who claims to have exclusive new information about Darktide. This came out 5 days ago, so I wanted to share it and take a look at it and see what they talk about. Now, they're called Legacy Gaming. Check them out if you want, but yeah, let's just get right to it. All right, so I got some news about the so-called talent system, and this person apparently was talking to developers about it. So whether it's real or not, we'll see. But here it is.
Which they said one specific thing that players will be able to affect through the talent system that is specific to ranged combat in a new mechanic in Darktide compared to Vermintide is the coherency system that affects the toughness shield that all classes have access to. The toughness system is akin to Halo's shield system and allows players to take a few hits before actually taking mortal damage. But being a co-op focused game, our shields only recharge while players are in coherency with other team members, which means the players only recharge their shields when they're in close proximity to their teammates. Exactly how this coherency effect behaves is an example of something that players can customize via the talent system.
Alright, so this piece of information sounds more like a rumor, but that's mainly because, I'm a little, what's the term? I'm picky when it comes to finding information online. If people just tell me something, I don't want to, be like, yeah, you're automatically right. I like having evidence and whatnot, but yeah, it's still good to look into. I'm sure I will find out if all this, what this guy is saying, is real or not. I don't know if they're a dependable source. Maybe they are. I mean, people wouldn't follow them if they were, liars, right? So I'm sure some of this is real. And this is one thing that I've been thinking about a lot that they should probably have in the game, and that's the loot system.
Is loot and how that's tied to character progression. Similar to Vermintide, players will receive loot upon completion of a mission. This can range from common and uncommon pieces of gear all the way up to relic items, which have many more trait options and slots. I asked the developer how the system would vary from that of Vermintide and how loot in Darktide would stand out as an evolution of the previous system. At its core, the system is very reminiscent of the Vermintide series, where players will find more and more powerful weapons to equip as they complete missions and level up in the game. The big change is that we are adding a number of systems that will allow the player to more accurately target which weapons they want to play with. Relying on a purely randomized system will result in some unlucky players that the system just isn't playing nice with. Those unlucky players out there could play the game for a very long time and just out of dumb luck never get their hands on that coveted two-handed sword that their heart desires. In Darktide, we've added a number of different shop systems that allow players to spend credits that they acquire from completing missions and buying the weapon that they want instead of completely relying on the randomized loot system. There is also a contract system that allows players to set long-term goals for powerful high-tier weapons as rewards by completing a number of tasks or quests to unlock those powerful items.
Alright, so what I wanted to do is check that guy's information because they pretty much just said, oh, I talked to a developer and then showed on screen. But here's more so evidence backing up what he's saying. So I have this developer here, Julia, from Fat Shark, who said, thanks for reaching out and for expressing an interest in Darktide. To answer your questions, there will be a hive world in Darktide, and there will be a loot system. So, one of the two things I liked about Vermintide is coming back, which is awesome. But yeah, this was just to make sure if that guy's information is right, and he's not just oh, I talked to developers, so I'm automatically right. Some people do lie about information for attention, but clearly this guy isn't. So he's legit. So, and that's what I like to see when it comes to content creators sharing stuff about a game. It's always good to see people who speak the truth about stuff.